The call as a Christian is to not love those who love us. That's great. That's the baseline. The call, what makes us a Christian, is to love those who hate us, love those who do harm against us. All right, we're going to do a pretty off the cuff podcast episode today. Thank you all for watching, checking in. Obviously, a lot has been going on the past week in America. Everyone is feeling something very heavy. I didn't want to add another take on the state of our country politically or spiritually. There's a lot of great stuff out there, a lot of helpful resources. Please check them out. What I wanted to offer any of you and to myself was a meditation on how we can rise above as Christians. What is our response as Christians in turbulent, evil times, in the face of evil? Two quick things. Again, this is not going to be a long episode. I debated on getting specific about some of the tragedies that have happened or not. I decided against it and want to give my personal take on how I and we as Christians respond to evil, respond to tragedies, and respond how Jesus wants us to respond. So we're going to get biblical with it, firstly, and then secondly, there's a call to action. All right, so the gospel message last Thursday was a powerful message from the book of Luke. That's why I have my computer right here. It starts off, Jesus said to his disciples, "To you who hear I say love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. To the person who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other one as well. For the person who takes your cloak, do not withhold even your tunic. Give to everyone who asks of you. And from the one who takes what is yours, do not demand it back. For if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you?" That is a radical cultural perspective. Jesus, as always, as usual, elevates our humanity and brings it to the divine. Jesus understands our humanity is to always go get dirty in the mud. Someone does something bad to me, I'm going to retaliate with the same energy. Someone hits me, I'm going to hit back. Someone takes from me, I'm going to take back. You do bad to me, you deserve to get bad done to you. What Jesus offers us is the challenge of hope, the challenge of hope and faith in our life. Fully, he understands that our life is not going to be perfect. He understands that people are going to do wrong to us. He understands that everything's not going to be perfect. That's why he's saying it. He's not saying, hey, follow me and everything's going to be perfect, so don't worry about anything. No, he's saying, hey, bad is going to happen to you. People are going to do bad to you. People are going to treat you bad. You have to love them anyway. The call as a Christian is to not love those who love us. That's great. That's the baseline. The call, what makes us a Christian, is to love those who hate us, love those who do harm against us. And that's what separates us as Christians. So much of the discourse we see out in the world is this dialogue of, well, this person does this, I'm trying to do this, everyone says you deserve that. Everyone goes back and forth coming from this place of, I'm actually moral, you're not moral, I'm moral, this is bad, this is wrong, he's doing bad, so I should do this. And it's this like Olympics of who does right and what's right and wrong, and people give all these, just enough with the nonsense. What separates us as Christians is that we love people who do not love us back. We love people who do harm to us. That's the call. That is the call. So in a week and in a time where there's a lot of conversations about who deserves what. If you say this, do you deserve that? But you shouldn't say this and you deserve that. Do you have what's coming to you if you speak this way? What's the freedom of speech and what's the repercussions of freedom of speech? That does not matter to us. To us, we're always going to love people, even people who hate us and wish us harm, because that's the call as a Christian. So that's what's going to separate us too. That's what's going to separate us from the world. So when you see something online, you hear people talk, and you can hear them basically saying, celebrating and enjoying the tragedies and the evil that's taking place in the world, your heart, your spirit says, something's wrong with that. Well, yes, because Christ has called us to love those who do not love us, love those who want harm to us. That call to Christ, that call to have hope and faith and love, even in turbulent, terrible times, is what's going to make us Christian, what's going to allow us to be Christian. What's going to elevate us as Christians. That's what's going to separate us. So that's our calling card. That's our calling card. Our call, the Lord is saying to us, hey, there's bad times. There's bad things coming. There's bad things happening. Everyone's not going to treat you great. You're going to have evil that's going to be on your back in this life. And the Christian call, following God, means I'm going to love those people anyway. The sad part about how sometimes we live our life is that we look for... We try to point the finger at other people. That's hard. So where does this leave us? Where does this leave us in our life? Like, how are we supposed... Like, what? So what are we supposed to do? All these tragedies happen, this evil in the world. The call to action, I think, for us, and what I want to share with you, and let me know what you guys think, is that, like, we have to not let evil into our hearts. We have to deeply protect our hearts and only let hope and Jesus and faith and love into our hearts. We cannot be overtaken by evil. And the thing is, we can recognize the evil. We can see it. The great thing about when you follow God, you can recognize the nefarious in the world. You can see the shortcomings of the world. And the world can't see it because when people it's kind of a weird paradox, because people will say there's evil in the world, but they're not talking about evil. They're talking about opinion. I don't even know what they're talking about. When you actually know who is good, that God, who is good, that person is God, that who has a name, you can recognize the evil in the world. And we cannot let that evil slip into our hearts, our minds, our relationships, our homes, our marriages, our friendships. We have to fight tooth and nail to not let evil in the world and in the face of evil. Because Padre Pio has this line that, like, a humble heart scatters all demons. Like, we have to fight this evil with virtue. We have to fight the tragedies of the world with virtue. We can't just fight it with, like, oh, you know what we need? We need to be, I don't even know. All I know is that we need to fight the evil with virtue. We need to put more virtue into our hearts and our lives and our relationships. And that's how we're going to rise above. That's how we're going to rise above. Now, again, there's so many reasons to feel heavy and feel down and feel angry this past week. It's insane. I totally feel you, totally get it. I just felt like sharing kind of my perspective on, like, where I felt like, where do we go from here? After all of the range of emotions to feel the past week, where do we go from here? One thing I kind of heard for some messages, like, we have to more than ever double down on God being our victory, God being our kind of North Star. This past Sunday was the Feast of the Triumph of the Cross. And, like, being a Christ follower is always going to be a little bit paradoxical, because we have a celebration of the cross. We have a celebration of Jesus' crucifixion. And on the surface and in the eyes of the world, they say, that's weird, a cross, what? Jesus' death. But we know that there's truth, there's life, there's love, and it's the ultimate symbol of our hope, which is Jesus on the cross. So even in the eyes, on the surface, it looks terrible, and it is. We know beneath that there's a triumph. That's why we celebrate. That's why we venerate that day, the triumph of the cross. And I think it was super relevant to this past week, where stuff can look like an absolute, on the surface, tragedy. There's nothing that could come from us. But we believe that with every cross, there's a triumph behind it, because our God was on the cross and was triumphant on the cross. So wherever that means for you and what you're feeling this past week, is that, like, all of our crosses have a triumph behind them. All of our cross, we can be triumphant in our crosses. And so there's a lot of crosses that have been born this past week, a lot of crosses that people are feeling. And as Christians, what separates us is that we believe that even in our crosses, there's a triumph to be had. And that it's all based not in us and our weakness, not in us and what we can do, but in Christ and his ability to bring resurrections out of even a cross. So that's going to be it for me today. Short, punchy little episode. Hope you all liked it. I'd love to hear from you. Text me, DM me, leave a comment. I just love to hear your thoughts on the past week, what you're feeling, just to get in touch with me. I'd just love to hear what you're feeling the past week. You know, I'm always down to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear from you guys. So that's going to be it for me today. Hope you all have a great week. Hope to hear from you soon. Peace. Bye.